After waiting for almost a month, Who Dat Nation, the wait is over. The Saints are finally back in Louisiana for training camp. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Neighbors, continuing CST's coverage of Saints Training Camp 2016. Well, for the first time, we're here in Metairie at Saints headquarters. Well, it was a welcome back party in more ways than one. At today's practice, the team welcomed back key figures on both sides of the football. On offense, the Saints welcomed back wide receivers Brandon Cooks and Willie Snead. And on defense, they welcomed back Stephon Anthony and John Jenkins. Today's practice in shorts and shells, a very businesslike practice, just over 2 hours. And this comes after their second preseason game where Sean Payton was maybe as animated as we have seen him following a game in the preseason. He called out Marcus Murphy fumbling the football, Brandon Coleman dropping the football and playing inconsistent. But after looking at the film, Payton did see a few positives.
Look, I thought we had good play at some of the cornerback position. I thought PJ bounced back and obviously came up with a big play at a volley. Cam, I thought in the kicking game, Lasco shows up again, makes a big play in coverage. I thought he ran pretty well also. I thought Spiller had a little juice. And, you know, I would say in the last 2 weeks, we've seen some really good signs with his speed and quickness. I thought McCown handled things well. Those would be some, early impressions. I thought Fairley played well, and in a role, obviously, with the injury to Rankins, I thought he stood out. I thought Laurinaitis was better this week than the week prior.
I think we took a step forward. We definitely decreased mental errors, and I think we ran after the ball and took the ball away and played pretty good defense. So I think DA and them were happy with our performance.
So Sean Payton seeing some Saints silver linings in the city of Houston, but he also knows this offense hasn't been to his expectation level in the first two preseason games. The running game hasn't been there, largely in part because the offensive line hasn't played well. That's troubling considering Teron Armstead is back in the fold, but a lot of the criticism has been pointed to second-year Saint and former first-round pick Andrus Peat. He's moved around a lot on this O-line this training camp, and Sean Payton says the movement could be a culprit and why he's not living up to expectations.
I think a little bit. I think, look, it's one of the things we talked about this morning. Guard tackle is one thing, but when it's left side of the ball, right side of the ball is when your stance changes, and so we've got to begin to settle in. And we didn't want to play Armstead more snaps than he should have in his first week coming back. So hopefully we'll be able to keep Pete on the right side and get a lot of reps with that one group.
Andrus Peat, a Saint to keep your eyes on in their third preseason game against the Steelers on Friday night. Speaking of the preseason games, the Saints haven't won one since August of 2014. When training camp started, Sean Payton put a premium on winning preseason games and competition. While the wins haven't been there, Coach, has the competition been there?
Yeah, I think at times. I think the practice tempo's been good. Obviously, there's some things there are a handful of things that we've got to be able to clean up. But I think the effort and the focus has been real good. We've got to find a way this week to play a better game.
So you listen to Sean Payton, you obviously hear some good news and some bad news at the midway point of this Saints training camp. Well, much more to come from our first show here in Metairie, Louisiana. It's time for our nightly CST camp counselor. He is brand new Saints tight end Coby Fleener. We talk everything from touchdowns to his reputation as a techie. That's all next. All right, welcome back. CST's coverage of Saints Training Camp 2016 continues. Time for our nightly camp counselor, and we have a good one. Brand new Saints tight end Coby Fleener joins us. Camp counselor for the night. Pretty good title, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I'll watch the kids.
They're over there. They'll be fine. All right, let's talk about this crazy Saints camp so far. You guys have moved around. How has this been player-wise for you?
It's been interesting. Not something that I've been a part of in the past, but I think honestly, it's good for us to go against other competition. The more you can go against other guys, the more kind of nuances you see and the more you learn.
As a tight end in this offense, you've seen the history. I mean, from Ben Watson to Jimmy Graham, the list goes on and on. You're still learning the playbook, though. I mean, this is the time where you're really learning everything. How is that going at this point in camp?
I think it's been up and down. I think hopefully from here we trend upward only.
You told us in a media gathering earlier that the high point has been just being with Drew Brees out there. You were with Andrew Luck in your previous stop in Indianapolis. What stands out about practicing and playing with Drew Brees since you've only been with him a few months now?
I think decision-making, accuracy, and honestly, I think the biggest thing is his love for the game. I think a lot of guys at his age would kind of see it as being on the downhill, and they could just kind of take it easy and live on their arm talent. But if you could see him in the weight room every day or out on the practice field extra, you would realize just how much he loves this game.
Speaking of extra, I've covered this team since they took over with Sean Payton, and I've talked to wide receivers over the years, and they say Brees really helps me if I'm learning the offense, just little things, and I'm sure you've gone through that as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We'll get to the line, and he'll sense something in me and say, hey, you have an X, Y, or Z, tell me the route, and I'm always appreciative of that. Even if I do know the route, it's always good to have that validation of, okay, Drew said I have the right route, and so, working with him has been awesome.
A lot of young wide receivers have stepped up, but the Brandon Cooks, the Willie Sneads are back this year. How do you feel about the receiving core complimenting you as a tight end in this offense?
Oh, I think it's my job to compliment them. We have an outstanding wide receiver group, and hopefully I can do my part to get them open.
You've been away from New Orleans. You really haven't been here a long time. Have you had a chance to get into the city, really learn what the Who Dat Nation is about, learn what New Orleans is about at all?
I've had my fair share. Been downtown a little bit, mostly at the practice facility. And for the last month or so, it's kind of been eat, sleep, dream football. And so, as of right now, my job has taken most of my time, but thankfully before that I got some time around the city.
You've been all around the country. I mean, you grew up in Chicago, you went to Stanford, you played in Indianapolis, now you're here in the South in New Orleans. I mean, how is this place different than your other stops?
I don't know. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is everybody's so friendly. I think everyone says that about the South, but you don't really realize it until you get here.
And talking to you, you love sports, obviously, that's your career. But growing up, there was a lot more to Coby Fleener. I mean, just talk about your interests outside of sports. I mean, to me, it's just part of your life.
Yeah, I think for me, it's constantly learning, growing, maybe figure out what I want to do after football at some point. Football ends for all of us, and we have to figure it out. But for right now, it's all steam ahead on football.
But going to college in Stanford, you're around Silicon Valley. Are you a self-described techie? I mean, that's a part of your life you're into, right?
Yeah, I am definitely a nerd.
I didn't mean it that way.
No, I think complimentary is how I take the term nerd. And so, there have been a few people around town kind of interested in tech that have reached out and said, hey, come check out what we're doing, and I really appreciate that.
What technology interests you the most? I mean, is there an aspect of it that you really, log on to them?
I would say consumer-facing stuff primarily, but that said, tech as a sector is always interesting, and just understanding that to change the world, your only limitation is your imagination.
That's way above my pay grade. Last question, let's get back to football, something I know. Coming up, your first game in the Superdome, you're going to play a Steeler team that is obviously very talented. Your first game in the Superdome, what do you expect? What kind of jump do you want to make? Because obviously you're going to play a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I expect a loud crowd and making it tough on their offense, and some loud cheering is hopefully we'll put some points up for them.
Coby Fleener, Quality Camp Counseling. I think we covered the gamut there. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, we're not done with this guy. The first dual thread in our CST Training Camp show. He also has the quote of the day coming up, referring to his age. Welcome back to our final segment in CST's coverage of Saints Training Camp 2016. After the team's been away almost a month, they're back here in Metairie, Louisiana. Time for our quote of the day, and we bring back Saints tight end Coby Fleener. Now, when the depth chart was released before the Texas game, Fleener was listed 4th on it, and he gave us his reaction to that upon hearing the news.
I actually had no idea until, I guess, the end of the day. I got a text message from my agent saying, don't worry, I'm handling this. And I had no idea what he's talking about. And so I guess it got fixed. I don't know. That's what I got from it.
Always need that assist from your agent. Well, we'd like to thank Coby Fleener for being our camp counselor and delivering our quote of the day. I'm Mike Neighbors. We'll see you again out here on the Metairie practice fields on Tuesday.